Hey friends, welcome to Prepare to Go There. My name is Peter Burchfield, and I really appreciate the time you're investing into this work and into your own leadership journey. Today is Friday, Future Friday, February 25, 2022, and we've got to get right to work because I realize this is still a work day for many of you. I realize that there's a lot going on, and I realize that we're all glued to our social media channels watching what's going on in Ukraine and Russia and in other places around the world. And we're just kind of hanging on to the next news feed, the next update, the next thing. And it is so heartbreaking to see pain and war and suffering like this going on. And yet, if we're not careful, if we're not aware, we'll get disengaged just by the waiting, the wondering, and we'll forget that we're actually connected to what's going on in our world, and we have work to do. Friends, I'm not asking us to get insulated, isolated from the things going on around us. I want us to be more engaged. I want us to be more focused on bringing real solutions, both here where we live and work, and also to the ideas and the challenges that we're facing. So, if you're praying for that situation, turn this off immediately and get focused on really praying. If you're contacting people, if you're doing work for your cause or your priority, go do that. But if you're excited about being a part of the changes that are needed, then lean in. Let's take 20 to 30 minutes right now, and let's give our attention to make an investment in our pioneering leadership. And so you need to be working. Thank you so much. My monologue.
Amazing. Okay, thank you guys so much. Welcome to Prepare to Go There. Welcome to a live coaching conversation. This is live, it's happening in the moment. I think my mic is working. Let me know. I am excited about getting to work. I want to get to work right now on your leadership, helping you focus on your future. You know, that's what this conversation's all about. It's about helping you lead yourself and stay focused on your future. And the future needs more leaders, not fewer. And those leaders are going to have more challenges and more demands, not fewer. And so that's why it is front burner focus to give yourself to your leadership journey, to prepare yourself to go there. Where's there? It's whatever you're going to be pioneering in the future frontier. And you don't have to just show up and wing it. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall back on our preparation. So the things we do today matter. They matter to our loved ones, the ones we're leading, and for those that will need our example. So I want to just start and stir up a lot of motivation right now. I want to just stir up a lot of energy around the topic of our leadership journey. And that's why I want to invite you first and foremost just to be a part of a community of leaders that want to level up day by day, choice by choice. We're going to be reading this book together. It's by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. And I want you to pick it up. You can find it wherever books are sold, I guess. And I don't get anything for saying this. I just want to be a learner. And so this is a book my mentor gave me this year. I'm going to lean into it. I want you to do the same. So let me know in the chat if you're a reader or if you listen to books on audio somewhere. And then let's get to work on your weekly planning. You know, the reality is your future needs your focus today. It's not somewhere way out there. It's right here. It's right now. What you do today is absolutely going to direct where your future goes. And so we have an opportunity, an invitation, even a responsibility to make today count. And when we think about the future, we may think about where we see ourselves one day and all the opportunities, all of the experiences we hope to have. And that's cool. But the future is a lot better than you think. And there's going to be challenges. There's going to be real crisis in front of us, but there's also going to be lasting change that we get to be a part of. And that future involves a lot of other people that are counting on you today. And so when we talk about pioneering leaders, or we talk about solopreneurs, or we talk about maybe you're leading a community on the ground level, maybe you're building some sort of platform for a cause or an interest that's really passionate to you online, you can kind of feel insulated. You get in that cocoon mode and you think, well, I'm not really interacting with a lot of people face to face right now. I do life, I get groceries, I work out, I hang out with family, friends, I have events that I can frequent here and there, but honestly, I'm not really out there with a lot of people. And what happens is we can get a little more and more detached from the impact, from the ripple effect that's going on from our day-to-day choices. And so what I hope we can do is pull closer to the work at hand, be more invested, be more involved, and just be more empathetic about where this work is actually going. Like, do you have work that matters? Do you have work that's going to serve others and help others in one way or another? Or are you just kind of entertaining yourself and wasting time? We do need those breaks and those resets, but we have got to stay focused on our future because our future involves others. And so that's why I'm so passionate about helping leaders stay encouraged, stay engaged, making sure that you have the tools you need to lead yourself and stay focused on your future. So let me know in the chat what you've been focused on lately. What have you been working on? What are you passionate about? What opportunities are in front of you? What problems are you solving? What communities are you serving? Let me know right now, and let's get into it. You know, the truth is your problem's not really getting focused. I mean, we get focused very easily. We're being pulled into conversations. We're being pulled into videos. We're being pulled in to other people's items and issues all the time. So focus is not the challenge. The challenge is, are we choosing the right things to focus on? And so I just want to riff for just a few minutes and hopefully give you an example to stir yourself up for fresh focus, so that way you're doing work that matters. And focus is not random. It's not accidental. It's not chance. It's not, perfect timing where everything just happens perfectly. This is kind of similar to discipline. Focus is a decision. Focus is a commitment. Focus is a practice that you can improve upon. Focus matters now because you're building in the workflow that you're going to be working towards. And so we start with the destination. We start with the big idea. We look out at the horizon line first. We take that in. We soak that in. We say, okay, that's important. And it's worth waiting on and working towards day by day. And there's going to be a lot of little things that come up, but I'm not going to forget my future. I'm going to remember my future, and I'm going to stay focused in 30-minute chunks, 90-minute chunks, and then eventually 30 days, 90 days, and then build out from there. So the first kind of big idea I want to share is what a future focus workflow means. It's tough to get focused as it is, let alone be future focused. I mean, we have so many interruptions and distractions. We can get so discouraged. We can feel defeated that we didn't have our eyes on the real prize. And so instead of bemoaning that, lamenting that, and just giving you all kinds of stories and stats to prove that, I want to give you encouragement today. I want to give you hope and let you know that what you're working on is valuable, even if you don't have a lot of people telling you that right now, even if it feels like nobody's finding you online, or they're not tracking with you, or they're not, giving you that immediate gratification that we're all conditioned to expect. People will find your work in the future. People will need what you're working on today sometime in the future. I don't know if it's in a few weeks from now or a few years from now. But I do know that if you're investing your best into something that's bringing hope, value, change, leadership, creativity, innovation, if you're solving problems, if you're serving people, I promise you, people will find it. And so don't get discouraged by the illusion or the feeling that you're alone in this, that no one's paying attention to this, that this is a impossible mountain, that you're pushing and pushing, but nothing's budging. You have to reframe your focus and say, I'm willing to give my future my focus today because it matters that much, again and again and again. Okay, so now I want to just riff, and I want to answer a lot of your questions as we go. So first off, whenever we think of focus, we can feel that the goal is to be rushed, right? We're just in a hurry, and I have to focus on what's urgent. I have to focus on what's needed right now. I have to do this. That's what I'm focused on. And we're basically putting out fires. But really, focus can be a slower experience. It can be a more thoughtful process. Focus doesn't have to be so jumpy and urgent and rush too. And we associate focus with adrenaline. But really, focus can be fulfilling and intentional if we begin to reverse engineer the workflow we want to have. And the reason we want to do that is because the mission at hand, the work we're doing, is that important. We can't afford to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, and then just not see things pan out. We don't want things to flop, fail. We don't want to waste time trying to figure this out. We're willing to work on the process as we go, but we've got to have a firm footing. And that's why you really do need at least 30 minutes for a future focus kind of session like this. Look at where you're going, ask yourself how you're doing, and then figure out what needs to change, what needs to improve between this week and next week. So whenever we think of focus, we start with the big picture, but it's got to get zoomed in to the smallest unit. It's got to get really personal, really tactical, really close to your heart, right? And say, this next step is connected to another step and another step and another step and a few thousand more probably. But I am that sure that this next step is taking me in the direction of that big picture. So whenever we think of a future-focused workflow, we have to reimagine how we get work done. If you grew up in the 90s or the early 2000s, there's been a huge tectonic shift in the way work gets done. And maybe you're, more accustomed to an idea where you're working shifts and you show up and you do that thing for a few hours and you have these scheduled breaks. And what we're conditioned to, whether that's in a service industry or whether it's in I say it somewhat endearing, but the cubicle culture, basically you're trading that time for some sort of change, some sort of payback, something that's going to make it worth it. And what I want you to reframe is to think about how work gets done. Instead of long hours of work with structured breaks in the workday, where those long hours are either doing the same kind of repetitive work or just kind of doing what's in front of you or doing what needs attention. Think of it like you have structured work time, really tightened up work sessions that are going to be leveraged in very important, powerful ways. And then you have more open space to respond to family needs or respond to friends, respond to clients, to be available for others, to serve others. And this, whether I'm hitting, the language or not, this is a big difference in the way we get work done. Normally, we look at our clock and we're waiting for the lunch hour, or we're waiting for the quitting time, and then the rest of the day is showing up and doing whatever's in front of you. But are you just gonna go with the flow, or are you going to reverse engineer a workflow that is actually taking you closer to the future that you say is worth all this work? And that's a different mindset. And you realize that you're not going to get there in one day or 1 week or 1 year. So you've got to stay focused on that future and keep building incrementally yet intentionally. And we're going to do that by reserving these very focused work sessions that move us closer to that goal. And when you layer that into your calendar, you create a lot of little, very dense, very concentrated work moments, either working on your health, working on your key relationships, working on your business, working on the ministry, working on that podcast, working on a vacation you need to take. There's going to be really dense, clear objectives. And when I mean dense, I mean that it's not mindless work. It's something you actually have to exert your attention towards. It's something that you have to be present for. And then to ensure that when you show up, because that work session is going to become a very valuable time for you, because you realize you can get far, far more done in that short, potent, concentrated work time than you could with a lot of diluted, interactions in the guise of work. The multitasking myth, which is really multi-talking in a lot of ways. And we're task switching, and we're in all these different directions because we're not mapping out clear action steps to get where we need to go. We have to kind of reverse engineer where we're going and commit to these very mission critical work sessions. And then we have to do work just to make sure that we show up ready, that we show up with our energy and our focus and our clarity, and we show up with the right work tools, or we show up with the right people in the room. So that way, when that moment happens, it's going to be effective. It's going to be successful. And so that's different than having a big space of time where we just kind of show up and we just kind of do whatever needs to get done. This is much more targeted. This has a level of precision that has to get executed on. And so a lot of that work of even showing up to that kind of moment, and a lot of that success is planning. Just planning, because if we're not going to be willing to plan to have a great work moment, to plan on what results need to get accomplished, connected to that bigger picture plan, then we're already disqualifying ourselves from experiencing that kind of momentum and leverage. I'll give you just a simple example, hopefully to drive this point across, and then we'll get into some weekly planning. But an airplane trip is a metaphor of a lot of things in life. But an airplane trip, specifically, maybe like an international airplane ride, that's the kind of work experience you want to have, because it may take you a few hours to be on that airplane to go from your home city to another country. But I promise you, it is infinitely faster and more efficient to take that airplane ride than it is to go try to figure out your own ride, or to even walk to that other place. Some places you can't even get to by walking. And, you could try to hodgepodge a lot of rides and carpooling and go from here to there to there to there. And I mean, you can kind of navigate your way around, or you could find the investment you need. You could find the money you need. You could find the time you need. You could do the planning you need. You could go through those steps in order to show up one time, go on a long ride, but it is effective, it is successful, and it gets you to your destination further and more efficiently than you could do any other way. So that's what I'm trying to get across. I actually plan on having good work moments, and that is a part of the work. I'm not just showing up and say, okay, what feels right today? I actually have to do a little bit of pre-work, because pre-work is going to get me on the plane, get me on the right plane, so that way I'm going further faster than I could go just by showing up day to day. And by doing that pre-work, I'm ensuring that when I get into that future-focused work session, it's going to be effective. It's going to be intentional. And I think we miss that a lot of times. And then when you layer on multiple sides of life, you got your personal life, work life, spiritual, relational, financial, all these dynamics, you kind of get overwhelmed by it. And that's where we end up showing up for the day-to-day grind. I'm not saying that we don't go through the day-to-day stuff. I'm just saying we have to have that high-level view, and we have to have that awareness. This is the work moment I'm going into, and I've got to make it count, because I probably won't get into this kind of focus for a while. And I know that there's all kinds of ways you can optimize this. People are they're doing all kinds of things to, quote, be more productive. But I think they kind of miss out on the success of a life well lived, not just getting a lot done. So if there's any action step that you're going to take today to be more future focused in your workflow, you have to have a plan that you can feel good about, that you can improve upon, that you can practice. You have to start your week with an intentional resolve that you're going to take action steps in that big picture direction. And I want to encourage you to do this weekly planning session with us. Go through this weekly planning process with us and think about where you're going and what it's going to take to get there. And then even when you know about what you need to work on, you need to ensure that when you show up for that work moment, you're going to have the tools you need. You're going to have the decision points you need. You're going to have those steps in an order. And that's not to say that you are going to get bogged down with a lot of detail and a lot of, just unnecessary paperwork. But it is to say, a lot of people forget the value of preparation. Preparation going into the week, preparation going into a project, preparation going into a new phase of life, preparation going into the future. And that's what I'm asking you to commit to. I'm asking you to think differently about the way your work is going to get done. And I'm asking you to lead yourself with an intentional workflow. So that way, when you show up, not just to the future, but when you show up to the work session, you show up ready. All right. If I haven't gotten the point across yet, time's up. I'll have to try again next week. Thank you so much for being in on this. We're going to get into your weekly planning next, but I want to share a video that captured an awesome conversation between myself and my wife, Sarah Joy, and she really talks about what we're looking at today. And she's going to mention the course that I created called Pioneer of the Year. It's going to help you to stop the repeat year cycle, so that way you can enjoy new frontiers, so you can make this year different, unlike any other, so you can enjoy this kind of future focused lifestyle that we've been talking about. Let's jump into this conversation. It's going to be really important that you listen in, and then we'll be back to answer your questions, help you plan this week. Amazing. I think we can kind of finish up with this last question about the schedule, right? The calendar, because that's where it all lands. Everything that we're talking about, dreaming about, praying about, whatever, it's going to show up in real time. So I think one of the challenges that a lot of pioneering leaders have is they don't have the scaffolding. They don't have the external motivation that they used to have or that they hope to have. And they think, well, if I just had, an assistant, if I had a team, if I had outsourcing, if I had more mentors, if I had, more instant gratification on social media, then all of these pieces would, all fit in place. And that's not what pioneering leadership looks like. It looks like being internally motivated, consistently focused, bringing the best of you every single day. Yeah. And the tool that we come back to again and again is the schedule. Yeah. So what's some of the frustrations and then hopefully the joys of, realizing, oh no, if I don't move, nothing will happen. If I don't get out of bed, nothing will happen. That realization, that gravity that hits you and says, wow, I really do have to take responsibility for what's going on the schedule.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so glad you asked. If you haven't taken Peter's quiz on what's your pioneering archetype, I would say go take that right now. I think it really helps bring a lot of verbiage and clarity to just the way that you work and the way that you think, the way that you plan. And so I took the quiz. I actually helped him make the quiz, and I wasn't at all sure what I was, but I thought I was sure of what I was not. And then I took the quiz and I ended up as an explorer, which I did not think that I was anyway. But then reading through it, I was like, oh, this nailed me. It's so true. So anyway, take the quiz and find out, just really kind of what your leadership style or your pioneering style is like, how you approach the future, how you think about other people, how you involve yourself, what your work style is. It's very helpful. Is it in your bio right now? Can people click and see that right there? Okay. Yes. So it's definitely in his Instagram bio, and then I think the link is in the description of this video. So go take that quiz, because that's really helpful to be able to just know up front, kind of identify some things, what your style is. And he also gives you this big blurb that really is an insight into your work style and how you should, like how many hours per week you should set aside for yourself, or what kind of time blocks you should use that really work best with you. I think for mine, it says, give yourself 30 minutes. Because my kind of style of working is to just get to work. And I really have trouble sometimes just setting aside time to like plan stuff out, because as I'm writing it out, I'm like, I'm motivated right now. Like I gotta finish this ASAP to just go start doing it. But you really have to take the time to like sit sit out and like plan stuff. And I would say I've not been traditionally a calendar person. I think I've been very vocal about that. I don't journal and I don't use a calendar because for me it's felt like such a trap. Like if I commit to something, then I can't do other things and I can't follow my creativity and I can't, jump into this. But this past week, I was like, I'm ready for this. Let's do a calendar planning session. Please, Peter, help me, get some stuff done. I have all these different things that I really want to do. And I would really like to get, a month ahead on my YouTube content. And I would really like to start making some TikToks. I just have ideas for them. And I just I don't have time for it. I've got some other stuff that needs to get done and we need to start doing our taxes. I want to have, time to do this big house project that I have on my mind, but I don't know how to fit it all in. And, I was getting overwhelmed just listing out all the different things that I wanted to do and kind of like estimating how many hours it would take. And then I was just thinking like, I don't know how to fit all of this in. And I could say it's Friday. I've had a great week. I've gotten so much done and I'm just,
come on.
I'm shocked. Like even in day 1 and day 2, I was like, wait, I already got so much done. So anyway, this is not a plug on like how to be more productive, but just really how to think strategically and how to have the right mindset coming into planning your week. Like just having the right tools is a game changer, or having the right coach. I would say I had a coach like sitting right next to me, like walking me through it. That was such a game changer for me because when anybody would like give me a planner, and Peter even would do this like when we were dating, he's like, I bought you a planner. And it's like some goal setting Christian go for it girl planner. And I was like, I feel bad and we'll use this, but I probably filled out like 6 days worth and never got into it. I definitely felt bad, but I couldn't swing it without somebody really walking me through it. And now I feel like I really, I have a system that actually works for me and my style. So anyway, grateful.
Just see how much more you got accomplished, how much, it's not just the task list is done, it's the way you feel at the end of the week. You feel energized, you feel amazing. To know that you are intentionally going for that big, bright future. If someone really took the challenge and they put 30 minutes into thinking strategically about the next week, some people don't even do that. They don't even have some sort of weekly planning session. But if somebody took the challenge and they said, I'm actually going to do it, where do they begin?
I mean, for me, it helps to start with a brain drain and just take everything that's like looming in the back of my mind and try to get it all down on paper and remember all the things that I want to do. Because they can just stay in your mind for months at a time. And then you don't get that, mental clarity because you have so many different things that are still like swimming around. So just getting it all down on paper is a really good first step. And taking the time just right before the week starts, right before things start picking up, when you can have a breather. I think we did it on like Saturday. We just sat down and I don't even think I took a full 30. I probably took 15 or 20, but it was, And
that really shows it is a small investment. 15 minutes for 168 hours. Of getting the week to just kind of get untangled, get sorted out, and then you can, launch out.
Yeah.
So
and then out of the 168 hours, I think I only planned like 42 hours of it, which sounds like a lot. I was like, oh, this is a full-time job. But you're going to spend the time either way, so how are you going to spend it? Give yourself extra time and not less time. Don't think you can get more things done in a day and try to overemphasize it. Give yourself fewer things, but in a little bit more buffer time. And then you'll feel good because you can actually get more things done than you even budgeted for, instead of fewer and then feeling like you're behind all week. So just, I guess, trim down a little bit and give yourself more room, more time for different projects than you think.
Make your schedule official. However you can do that. There is a point where you're kind of thinking through it, but there has to be a definitive line that you cross over and you say, my week is starting, here is a plan, I'm going to start working on it. I am totally okay with improvising and improving the plan, but I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to be intentional. So, if it's already on paper, it feels real. But you can put it in your calendar. Another thing that you can do is you can actually present the week you planned. Present it to your spouse, your team, your assistant. You need to actually put yourself out there and say, this is the kind of week I'm going to have. And then you can actually grade yourself, in a few days and say, how am I doing? And where am I going and what's next? So y'all, I love my wife. Sarah Joy is wonderful. You can find Sarah Joy and what she's working on at sarahjoy.tv, pretty much everywhere, YouTube and Instagram, and then that's her website as well. All right, so let's get into the weekly planning part. We'll call this bonus round. I appreciate you watching this far. And if you've got a question, man, this is why I do Future Friday. This is why I want to have this conversation in a real-time way, because I'm here to help. I want to be here to keep you going and growing. So the first thing that you need to do, just like that conversation mentioned, is you want to have pen and paper first. Try to distance yourself from the technology for a little bit. Get away from the distractions. Get pen and paper. Start to drain your brain and see what's already taking up that real estate. And then you can begin to referee what's good, what's not necessary, and then you can start to organize things. It's difficult to organize your thoughts inside, right? It's better to organize your thoughts on paper. You can externalize it, visualize it, and then start to put it in a new framework. That framework that we're going to create is what I often refer to as a map. We're gonna map out the week, or we're gonna map out the day. And a lot of that training is showing up in the course called Pioneer of the Year. I created a on-demand coaching course. You can get it through Teachable, and you can go to pioneertheyear.com and check it out. Try the free training. Kick the tires if you want. That's fine. You'll get a good overview of each of these 4 modules and the main insights and strategies that you will take away from it. But as far as the real results, the real transformation, you're going to learn a pioneering approach to life planning and leadership. And that is counterproductive to a culture that is really obsessed with just goal setting and productivity. This is going to be something that's going to make a difference in your life and going to make a difference in the year you have. Xavier, so great to see you, man. That fire is warming my heart. That's great. Okay, so I'm here to help you. I want to hear from you. What do you want to improve? Let's talk about it. If I have an answer, I'll give it to you. And then got to bring the compass. Absolutely. Different topic, but I know it's time. Absolutely. Xavier's talking about the Life Compass tool, and it's really revolutionized the way I approach this whole topic. And it's in the course, Pioneer of the Year. So that was a perfect kind of segue. Thank you, man. But you got to have a way to lead yourself. And having a compass will help you navigate the unknown effectively. Thank you so much, Xavier. Okay, guys, so right now is Future Friday. I brought you into my own Future Friday work sessions. It's a big deal, but I care about y'all, and I know that this is a community of pioneering leaders, and that's code word for we have to stay motivated. We have to be the initiators. We have to lead ourselves. We are the solopreneurs. We are the ones who only get the check-ins from our direct reports maybe once a week, every other week, once a month. And so we've got a lot of air that we've got to fill up on the calendar. And if we don't really drill down into how we're going to make that time meaningful and fulfilling, we're going to look back and have a lot of gaps and gulps to show for it. So you've got to make today count. This is a perfect opportunity to get ahead for the next week and even going into the next month, because March is coming. So amazing. Okay. I can go on with my own content, but I show up on live stream so that way I can do this thing right here. So I can interact with you and answer some of your questions. Xavier's asking, what do you think is the hardest thing in this generation that will stop leaders from growing? Gen Z and millennials. That's a great question. I mean, I think I am inspired by Gen Z in particular. I think they have some of the most amazing tools that any other generations had. And I mean that in terms of their attributes and their values, as well as their opportunities. I think Gen Z is probably a little more realistic than the millennials. I think the millennials were maybe a little more idealistic about what's possible, about what they're going to do and accomplish. I think Gen Z are much more serious about real change and seeing real work get done. So I'm excited about that. I think the biggest challenge for this generation and new generation leaders is the preparation phase. I think the preparation phase is overlooked by so many because they think they have access to build these amazing platforms and things, and they kind of miss the fact that some things will get you where you want to be, but not necessarily keep you where you want to be. And that is character. Your gift will open the door for you to show up in those places, but your character will keep you there. And that's a big part too, but it's also just the preparation of leadership, the preparation of it. And I think a lot of young adults are not taking advantage of the quote downtime they have right now. I use this analogy a lot. Back in American history, there was the gold rush. Everybody heard, there's gold in them hills. And so they rushed to California and they rushed to the West Coast and they wanted to find the gold. And so a lot of people just got duped with fool's gold. And they didn't really find the real gold because they settled for the fake gold. And the internet was absolutely a gold rush. And, my generation was one of the first generations to be raised with the internet. I think Gen Z is probably one of the first generations to be raised on the internet. I think the next generation, what is it, Gen Alpha? That's not scary. Gen Alpha, they might be the first generation to be raised by the internet. And so there's this gold rush. There's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of opportunities on the internet, but they're not. They're looking for the entertainment online. They're looking for the culture points online. They're looking for just whatever, and that's not honestly, that's not a critique. I am a champion for pioneering leaders in the next generation. And that's why I'm doing this, to help them say, hey, if you're going to go the distance, if you're going to make a difference, you have to learn how to lead yourself. and there are tools and there are resources that are available. And get the, come on, man. That is just an opportunity for next gen leaders. Are you going to get very intentional about your preparation today? What are you doing for your preparation today? And that's not to say that you can't have a seat at the table today and that you just need to, pay your dues and then, you'll come back later and ready. The reality is you don't know what you don't know. And I think every generation needs humility to be effective leaders today. So we need to be listening to each other. We need to be leaning into the contributions each of us are making. But there are some students that we interact with through our church community, and they inspire me. Some of these kids, they're more disciplined than me, or at least than I was at that age. And they're very focused, and I think they're very aware of what's going on around them. But still, the encouragement and the relational empowerment that we can all bring to them and let them know, hey, you're going places, but remember, you'll have to prepare to go there. And your preparation has to be a big deal. Preparation has to be intentional. Preparation has to be ongoing. Preparation has to be a long-standing commitment. So that is that. But what I want you to hear again is that there is a shift in the way we get massive work done. I'm not talking about a lot of that fake work. I'm talking about real future-focused work. And you're not going to get there by spending a lot of hours just going through the motions. You're going to get there by making this mental paradigm shift that I've been trying to articulate here. And that is, in the conventional work model, you spend a lot of time, open time, just doing stuff, doing what's in front of you or getting ready for the next thing maybe. And then you have these structured break times. I think that's a metaphor for the way we can work differently. Instead, we're going to be spending a lot of time preparing for really intentional, effective, focus work. And you need to put your focus work, or your future work rather, you need to put your future work on the calendar. If you want to write a book, you need to write the book on the calendar, and it's going to be a really dense pocket in your calendar, and then you're going to show up and you're going to make that a success. And then preceding it is going to be a lot of preparation, going through the pre-work and weeding out the distractions and ensuring that when you show up, you're not going to be pulled away from doing that work. When you show up, you're going to show up ready, not just to the future, but to the future work that you need to give yourself towards. I think a lot of us just don't have that kind of map. We don't know what that's going to look like. Joshua, what's up, brother man? I know I switched up the time, so thanks for making the jump here. Maybe I'm in the lunchtime here that we can call kind of all overlap. Let me guys know your feedback on time, 11:30. What do you think? 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour? I'm happy to take your feedback on that. I want to be helpful there. What you're looking for on your calendar are going to be these pockets of focused work, 30 minutes or 60 minutes or 90 minutes. Okay, if you can put a number of those work sessions on the calendar, that is a success. That is a win. And your whole day is not going to be full of that. But if you can make that a strategic investment and you can make that a win, then all that open space, which is probably a little bit more mixed with personal, professional, family, team, online, whatever, that's all good. You can just roll with it. You can enjoy being responsive to everybody else. And I think that's cool because you're showing people that you're available to them. You're showing people that you're there for them. But you absolutely can't sabotage that focused work. When you go in to the airplane, man, they close the door. To use that metaphor again, when you go onto that airplane, man, it is a set path. It is a set ride. There might be some turbulence here and there, but man, they are committed to get you up in the air and back down again and take you further faster than you could go on your own. That's what a future focus work session is going to feel like. It's like one of the best metaphors I can come up with. It's like an airplane ride. There's a time where you taxi. There's a time where you take off. There's a time where you're cruising. There's a time where you have to like start landing the plane again. And what you do in those focused work session is going to matter more than what you did with the other hours of the day. Absolutely, by far. You can get far more done in a short, densely packed work session than you could with hours and hours of just kind of working through the steps, as they come, because there's probably just too much friction to make that workflow effective. So instead of working on something a lot and then having these structured breaks, you need to have structured work that is powerful and focused and effective, and then have a lot of open space to making those moments a real success. And doing the pre-work to make that a success. So I hope that helps. I want to remind you again, check out pioneertheyear.com. You can get the on-demand coaching course. It'll help you stop the repeat year cycle so you can pioneer new frontiers. And really, it's a leadership conversation. It's going to help you with a lot of this in a much more in-depth way and a more guided coaching format. It feels like a real one-on-one coaching session. So that is my call to action for you as well. I think we're good. I'm going to pause just a second and see if anybody has any final kind of questions. But I'm going to get back into my Future Friday. Had a blast doing this. Y'all really encouraged me. I appreciate y'all. All right. This has been great. The catch is not asking for more and more time, negotiating for more and more time. The catch is you've got to make the time you have count. That starts with the most macro view of your life. You're not going to be asking for more years. You just got to make the years you're given count. And the same goes all the way down to the most micro sense. Hey, if you said you can work, or let's say you said you could have a work meeting with your team, whether they're volunteers, part-time, interns, full-time, outsourced, contract, whatever. If you committed to, let's say 45 minutes, hey, we're going to get together, we're going to meet, we're going to talk, we're going to plan, we're going to, get results, 45 minutes, you can't waste their time and say, we didn't get there. Let's add some more time later. Either you show up the next round better prepared or not. But you can't break that agreement you made with people. You got to make the time you're given count. So if you put on the calendar, I'm going to be working on this for 30 minutes, you got to make that work session count. If you said you're going to be doing a workout, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And then if you do the quality part right, you're going to be showing up more and more because you're seeing results and you're feeling that momentum. It's just a part of life. So go to the calendar, get really intentional about those densely packed, focused work sessions, and then treat them like an appointment because it really does matter that much. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Stay awesome, and I will see you live next Friday, Future Friday. Just build this into your rhythm. If you want to get real-time coaching for your leadership, we'll keep doing this. Otherwise, I will see you later.